Welcome to the UDP broadcast, a podcast where some friends get together and talk about gaming-related stuff and offer somewhat informed and uninformed opinions. I'm Luminary, and I'm joined today by my co-hosts, Aimee, the Eternal Barcode.
Hey, everybody, how's it going?
The Nordic Cajun.
I only interrupt sometimes, not all the time.
And from the Emerald Dream, Crit Chicken.
Yo, still watching this people stuff. What up, what up?
Today we're going to be talking about emulation, inflation, and 3-day weekends, which sounds fun on the surface, but it gets kind of crazy. So with emulation, which is where we're going to end up starting. Oh, wait. Sit back and enjoy the show. There we go. Eventually, I got to do it right. Today we'll be talking about blah, so stick around and enjoy the show. All right, there we go. I've done it. Blah. I've ticked that box.
Blah. I do not say blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
So, emulation. This is in reference to the news articles that have been coming out, and it was quite startling when I saw it, and I was like, crap, Nintendo's at it again, because the headlines everywhere was Denuvo is now doing emulation protection for Switch ports. And on the surface, it sounds like Nintendo's doing its shady antics again. And if you're not familiar with that, in the YouTube circuit, there was a period where they sent out DMCAs for a lot of the content that was currently out there, and then offered up a creator program which took 30% of the revenue share that was left over after YouTube got their cut. So it was really shortcutting the creators. And then there's other events that happened along with it was interesting that particular story had to deal with a Smash Brothers tournament. It was for Smash Brothers Melee, and this company did it every year. But when COVID-19 hit, they were like, hey, we need to figure this out, right? There's supposed to be an event this year, and they found a mod for Smash Brothers Melee that allowed for online play, because they had been asking Nintendo to update it with online playability. And Nintendo was like, nah, dog, you can figure that out. Well, they figured it out. They found the mod, and immediately was served papers saying you can't do that. So, you read something like that, immediately you're jumping to, oh, what now?
Nintendo's always been ass backwards when it comes to this kind of stuff. Like, the technology is moving forward, and you can only ride the back of the plumber for so long before you need to get in line with the times. Like, I think you and I think we all talked about the whole Melee thing not too long ago, either in the Discord or here.
It was here. It was like really on the surface and towards the end one of the shows, because again, Nintendo is in question again. So
it's a 20-year-old game that never had online capability because it was on the GameCube. So the idea that you still have a massively dedicated fan base that would love to keep this gem alive, because people still play the new Smash Brothers, don't get me wrong, but there is some dedicated people to that craft that spent their entire lives learning the ins and outs of Melee. That's why it stayed at EVO for so damn long, because people love the game and love watching people play it.
Think about this, Nordic. The only way they could, when's the last time you were able to get a bunch of GameCubes together? And they would have to use emulation software to even make this happen.
Absolutely. There was no other way, especially for an online tournament. You have to do it that way.
Which brings us back to Denuvo. Denuvo has a really rocky history anyway with their DRM practices. I consider a lot of these DRMs, aside from Steam and Epic Game Store and whatnot, that is a form of DRM because they're a distribution platform and you have to have the distribution platform to play the games. Okay, all right, I'm cool with that, but it doesn't embed itself in the binaries, right? So Denuvo operates in such a way as well. It embeds itself like antivirus does. It injects itself into... Well, I think they have to use it as an interface, but it constantly scans memory and determines if you're on a pirated copy of the game, or if you're running an emulator in this particular case, which is what's in the news, because publishers are pushing to protect their IPs and whatnot, and having their software be available on emulators means that it could go anywhere, which means piracy, and that's a big concern, right? So,
I feel like we're living in a world where piracy, sure, it's still out there, but there's so many alternatives and free use things that it's not hurting the bottom dollar of these big guys as much as they want to say. I mean, case in point, Endgame for the Avengers. That movie was leaked and pirated from a movie theater like a week before the debut. And it
mm,
still ended up being a box office breaker for Disney and Marvel. To say that you're afraid of your IP getting ripped off so fluently anymore in 2022, again, it's old school mindset still trying to live in today's world. And it's just, I don't know. I understand protection, I understand keeping your stuff, but your name's still on there. You're still going to get paid no matter who steals what from anybody. I'm not, of course, saying go out there and pirate the shit. That's not what I'm saying. But to basically inject your own, like you said, kind of virus into a system to keep people from trying to emulate your stuff. I mean, we all lived through the freaking Norton
Sony
days.
rootkits.
That too, yeah.
yeah, and mind you, we're not saying that that's how that they do it. Chances are, if they're incorporating that software, there's probably some interface that says, "Hey, we're putting this here," and Denuvo looks for changes, and that could be fine. But there's also performance impact on that as well. They're claiming for this particular bit that there should be no impact on the performance of the titles that are going to be hosting their software. To check for emulators, which I'm still trying to wrap my head around that because from a technical standpoint, you're emulating hardware. If you really think about it, your console is nothing but a hardware game engine. That's it.
Well,
So,
I mean, coming from a company that's currently using emulators to play their old games.
there's basically, it would be the same concept as how a lot of malware now checks to see if you're on a virtual machine. So it knows to not behave maliciously on virtual hardware because it knows that that's a testing environment. And they look for actual real hardware identifiers and then, actively start doing what they're supposed to be doing. So it'll be along the same lines as that, where it's going to check for certain markers within the system itself to say, am I on an emulated piece of hardware or am I on actual hardware? And when it detects that it's not on actual hardware, that's where it's going to start not letting you play. But it's really funny, though, because they don't offer refunds when their stuff gets broken into. And on their website, I did see that they claim that it'll protect your game for anywhere between 1 month or 1 day, 1 month, and 1 year.
Dang.
Like, oh, okay.
well, the landscape of piracy is always evolving. The seas are rough on the binary shores. Like that's what happens. Like I'm no stranger to being
Love.
a,
Oh.
yeah, I'm no stranger to love. No, I'm no stranger to sailing the seven seas of the internet and plundering what I can find, and it comes at a cost as well, because sometimes you just don't know what you're getting. Like I'm pretty sure everybody remembers Pirate Bay.
Oh Lord.
And before
It's
that,
still around.
Before that, it was Kaza, and then LimeWire, and then before that,
I'm not getting into LimeWire because yeah, fun times.
Let's put a fatal virus onto our computer so we can get
No,
all the
it's
music.
awkward video roulette. You think you get one thing and it's like surprise, and then your mother looks over to you with a mortified look on her face, like, what is that?
so it's
I've been through
Omegle.
that. Dude. I don't know if I can actually say on the things that I saw, but it was bad. Like this dude, I think everybody has seen this video. It was just on Kazaa. It was a random video that people uploaded to everything. Guy was passing out envelopes, grabbed the manila envelope, pulled out a gun, and you could probably fill in the blanks after that. Imagine being a 12-year-old kid, first thing you see on the internet is somebody clock checking out that way. That was me.
Oh.
That's therapy inducing.
I'm a perfectly normal human being, folks.
And that would be Nintendo in a nutshell.
Yep.
Well,
Knock knock.
you have one of life's major questions answered. So hey,
There you go.
that. So yeah, I mean, so the entire idea of pirating is just going to be there. Games are cracked. I think I started going to news groups and using a binary assembler, and everybody would post their games in parts. So you would point your program at all of these parts, or at least the first part of however many, and the program would go out and find all the parts, take all the binaries, and put them back together, which was really cool. And then, of course, you had to go get the crack, or if it's already cracked, which means somebody's already messed around with stuff. And there's my dog.
Hello, puppy.
Speaking of crack,
Oh,
that,
no.
that whole line of talk was just a straight ADHD comment, just going wee. I love it.
But well, the point is that piracy is going to be there. If there are goods to be had, it will be plundered.
Absolutely, everybody's gonna start saying, "Yo ho, it's a pirate's life for me."
So
I'm gonna admit this on the internet. This is the first time I've ever done this.
Oh no.
I physically, as a child, I physically had to pirate my first copy of World of Warcraft. And
Oh no.
by physically, I meant I had the discs and I installed it on my computer. But as a naive child, I didn't know I needed the serial code to start the game.
oh,
So I was that kid that went to Walmart, found a copy, went to the bathroom, and took the serial code with me and walked out.
Oh no.
Yes, I was that kid.
Thief.
I was that child. I was not to be
Holy sh-
deterred. Yep.
we all
it's like that
know
lady
history.
on what is it, Twitter that I saw going into the restaurants and then showing off all the the dishes that she brought home or whatever. And people were like, thief. And she brought it home and she was displaying it in like a grocery basket. And they're like, it's like thievery on top of thievery.
Oh no. Why would
It's free
Ugh.
real estate.
But they've got some pretty awesome ramekins. You see those ramekins she put out? Like those were pretty boss.
Yes. I'm glad you know what I'm talking about.
Like, she was like, yeah, and I got these. These are amazing. So I wanted a whole set, and here's a sushi plate. Man, these were great. So I had to go back and get 8 more. And
You had to get the matching sake set.
Yeah.
You just
Then-
had to.
then she
And then
pulled
I
out
think
the
Panera
grocery.
Bread.
Oh, go ahead.
Panera Bread actually commented is like, huh, interesting.
Oh no.
Currently banned from all Panera Bread.
I want to go to
Sorry.
Panera Bread tonight. Nope, you're banned. Fuck off. Oh,
No,
no.
no bread bowl for you, madam.
So yeah, while we're wearing our eye patches, I mean,
Yarr.
and that's really just the point. Whether it's physical goods, digital goods, somebody will find a way. There's a crack for it. You've also mentioned okay, so everything as far as movies are concerned are digital, so it's stored as bytes somewhere. All somebody has to do is go get the bytes, and well, off
It's
it
all
goes.
math.
Yeah.
Oh,
As soon as you figure out the math, you're good to go.
oh, here's another good story about pirating. I used to work at this. Here's the age gap. I used to work at Blockbuster, and I was always a low peon on the pole because I was in high school, and I had a boss who always had me run the front while he worked in the back, and I never understood why. Well, come to find out, my man had a laptop in the back, and the entire time I was working the front, he was ripping movies
Oh no.
right there at the store. I'm like, oh, that's how we roll around here. He looks up at me, he's like, you saw nothing. I'm like, I know what you're talking about. I know how snitches get stitches around here. I ain't saying nothing. Nope. And then I watch a child come in and ask to go to the bathroom, and then later that night I find out he stole the entire Oprah DVD set.
What?
Yeah.
Why Oprah?
It's a long story. I don't think we have enough time for that tonight, but yeah, let's just say his mom was outside waiting for him.
And
Oh,
that's how
no.
Netflix came to be.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Good old Blockbuster. Good
That
old
was such a money pot they could have gotten into. I mean, like Redbox was the next step up. Like you didn't have to go into a store; you just had to wait in line. And then Netflix was just like, "Nah, dog, I got this."
Yeah, between Netflix and GameFly, it just destroyed freaking Blockbuster. Freaking GameFly was a godsend for me.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so this whole DRM thing. One of the items that Amy had pulled out, he pulled out a quote from, I believe it was How to Geek, talking about the performance impacts of even using Denuvo, and it's historically bad. Like if you even, I think Denuvo was actually on a lot of EA games, particularly when I was in the SimCity and Spore levels of stuff. But this particular quote is like, the director of Tekken 7 blamed Denuvo's DRM for performance problems in the PC version of the game. For example, a rare case where a game developer, rather than merely a player, knocked Denuvo. Some game developers have removed Denuvo from their games after release, and I was there for that one. I think they actually had to take it out of Spore, if I remember correctly. They're like, nope, like it was unplayable.
It did the same thing. I remember Tekken getting to a point like, oh, it's working good on PC, and then that happened, and the player base dropped on the PC version because of that. It was terrible.
I never did play Tekken.
It's Tekken 7 is amazing. I mean, they're finally, after what is it, 10 years we're coming up on the anniversary of this game, finally hinting at Tekken 8. Tekken 7 is by far top tier fighting game right now. If I could go back in time and tell myself to play a different game, it would have been Tekken. But it is also one of the most technically advanced freaking games on the face of the planet. So that's probably why I wouldn't. give me my Street Fighter, my down forward, my sideways forward fireball, and I'm good. I can't think in the fourth dimension yet. I'm sorry, I just can't.
Well,
I told there be no math. What the hell?
No.
Well, it looks like Extreme Tech notes that Denuvo causes performance issues in nearly every tested game. I don't know what the margin was, but it says it causes from longer load times, from frame drops, and it does appear that Denuvo's protection does slow things down. Performance sometimes improves by 50% after Denuvo is removed by the developer, and that's just it, right? Like everything about a game.
You know, you fucked up your DRM when you get a 50% performance increase when your DRM is removed. Like, people always, bitched and moaned about how Punkbuster ran directly in the memory space, always scanning the memory space to make sure you didn't have anything interrupting the game memory. But at least that thing, did not impact performance a whole lot. This DRM that gives you 50%, performance boost once it's removed, that's a lot of wasted everything. And I wonder if there is like a memory leak in how the DRM is coded if you're getting a 50% performance increase in some cases, because that's excessive.
Extremely.
Especially since everything for gaming is built on the idea of speed. It has to be fast because it has to do like 100,000 things 30 to 60 to 120 times a second, right?
Everything's got to be Sonic speeds. Got to go fast.
Yes.
That's if you actually get to that level and you don't get frustrated with the performance stuff enough to actually quit.
That's also true.
Yeah, I mean, there's only so much that you can do to fight DRM, right? There's some, like Punkbuster, I never really had a problem with. In fact, it was probably the most helpful, to be quite honest. As far as I didn't see any problem with the what Punkbuster. That was for Counter-Strike, wasn't it, Amy? It was probably for a lot of things, but I think my
Punkbuster,
first
it was on Soldier of Fortune 2. I think it was in Quake. Might have been, no, it was never in Counter-Strike because I was always Valve's anti-cheat.
Oh, there is a software for Dead by Daylight or whatever, and if you actually look on Steam, there's a lot of people complaining about it. Me, for one, I actually complained about it because when I bought Dead by Daylight and I tried to play it, their anti-cheat software or whatever was like, yeah, you're not playing the game, sorry. I'm like, I just bought it, dude.
Wait, what?
Yeah. I'll try to dig it up for you. Hold on.
So America's Army, Battlefield 3 and 4, Battlefield Hardline, Battlefield Bad Company 2, I love that game, Far Cry 3, Ghost Recon, Future Soldier, Medal of Honor, Warfighter, and Red Orchestra 2 are the only games remaining on the Punkbuster system. Which is unfortunate because I really enjoyed how well it worked. You could easily add a local band to your master Punkbuster band list, and it would immediately get propagated to all other Punkbuster servers. It was great.
Nice. Yeah, there's a lot of DRM out there that has that capability, and sometimes it's like super malicious. Like, for example, it'll detect how many times your key has been used or if it's been installed on different hardware, and it'll just blacklist you from ever using that software again. You're like, I didn't do anything. I just executed the damn thing. It's just like the next day, I'd like to continue my story. That
Kind of sounds like the any music software ever.
and music is a whole different ball game.
Like, you didn't plug in your dongle. You are banned.
Yeah. Well, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, the entire idea of having these IPs and protecting your trademarks and your copyrights is absolutely important. If you're going to do it, you have to do it 100% of the time. But that's not always the case. And when it does come down, people catch shit for it, and it's terrible.
Yeah, it's a convoluted world we live in, unfortunately.
Indeed. So yeah, but it's nice to see that Nintendo isn't on the front of this. It just happens to be the platform of what's going on as far as what the publishers are trying to do to prevent emulation. So
Yeah, and really, I think they should really look at not preventing that, because if you offer up the game for, the physical copies, the digital only copies, but then you also offer up a for pay emulator copy, you can probably increase your revenue streams even further. Because if you think about it, a lot of the stuff is pirated on emulated copies, but if you start selling that as an emulated copy, you're just making it easier so people don't have to wait for a crack, and they don't have to wait for someone to break it so they can, run it on an emulator versus just download the damn file and go.
I mean,
Like, it's more revenue. It almost feels like the gaming industry is still taking the music industry's approach to, cassette tapes and rewritable CDs and DVDs and MP3s and shit like that. It just seems like it's a very old, backwards approach to online content and gaming content.
all right,
and the funny thing is, Nintendo especially, literally has the capability of turning their Switch or any other future console they make into a money generating machine with their old shit. All they have to do, and I read this the other day on Twitter, I'm like, this is freaking brilliant. This man should work for Nintendo for what he said about this. Just with the Pokemon game, we're not talking about Mario, we're not talking about the Melees, the Brawls, any of the other IP. We're talking about just Pokemon. Take your Switch, give them an emulator that runs all the old games with online capability, updated graphics, and ability to battle online, and people will pay hand over fist for every single generation you re-release in that emulation.
well, they have
Especially
something
with
like
the
that.
Game Shark.
Yes, exactly.
And that's a whole different type of breaking. But they already have their virtual. If you have the Nintendo online stuff, you actually get access to their virtual consoles, which is just another rehash of their virtual consoles from
Well,
the Wii and so
the
forth.
Wii and the Wii and the Wii U's versions were amazing because you could get all the games. The Switch version sucks. You get a handful of games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's terrible. Like you went backwards. You were doing it right on the other generation, and then you get to the Switch, which still my favorite console in a long ass time because I can go anywhere the fuck with it. But the fact that you went backwards and you're a moneymaker, I Nintendo, are you okay?
Well, they really should take a page out of Sega's book. Have you seen some of the Sega games that are on Steam right now?
Like Sonic?
Yeah,
A lot of Sonic.
like Sonic, Altered Beast, like everything for every one of their consoles actually has a port on Steam. And what's interesting about that is that if you buy it, you're actually presented with an emulation interface. And
Well, that's Sega is making the best out of a bad situation because they're no longer hardware based. They got out of the hardware game ages ago after the Dreamcast. So they've always been ahead of the game when it comes to the digital version. And it makes sense that they're like, hey, this is where the money is. This is going to keep us alive. Let's go.
Plus, they came out with that movie, and then I think the last successful movie, I think, from Pokemon was like, what? Detective Pikachu?
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that sold that was Ryan Reynolds.
True. I will admit. But to be fair, the Pokemon looked fire in that movie.
Oh yeah.
Like I wanted those Bulbasaur so bad in my backyard, I was dying.
Well, there's like some fan remake of like Dark Pokemon. If you ever go look it up on YouTube, like it's intense. Like the Pokemon look way more real than they should. And
Oh, I've seen those. Those are so sick.
yeah.
And it makes sense because have you read the Pokédex? That's some dark shit, man.
Oh yeah, definitely. But yeah, I think that pretty much wraps up this particular conversation. DRM bad, don't do it, developers, please. And if your publishers say we have to do it to protect the IP, tell them I need a different publisher.
Take care now. Bye bye then.
Bye-bye.
Speaking of publishers, Sony is also a publisher, and they were in the news this week.
Oh boy.
Oh man, it was
Oh boy.
fun times. So Sony in certain markets around the world are going to increase the price of the PS5, and that has never been heard of. We've heard about price drops, like get the Nintendo and the Super Nintendo for $150 as opposed to the $199 it normally charges for its consoles, or the Xbox sales, and even Sony themselves putting their consoles on sale and whatnot. But never have I seen across the board price raise. So they say that the prices increase in select markets is due to global economic environment, including high inflation rates, which I can understand. But all the hardware that's released, like the Switch, the Xbox, the PlayStations, that's all sold at a loss. So
Well, think about it. Think
Absolutely.
about it this way too. If they actually jack up the price now, with Black Friday being around the corner and stuff like that, they can say, "Hey, our stuff is going on sale, but it's going to be at the original price from when they started."
If it, I would agree 100% with you if the price change was that significant. It looks like it's only like a $20 change across the board for at least in Canada, for what I'm reading.
Yeah, I was too lazy to look up the price differences in every other market, so I just went for Canada because Canadian.
I probably
Right,
would have done it
it's
by
only a
percentage.
$20 difference between like what it is currently versus what it's going to be going up to next month. So realistically, it's not that big a deal, but at the same time, it's like you're taking the Microsoft approach to things where you're doing everything backwards. Xbox flat out said they're going to leave everything as is, regardless of the price, and you know that's a better take on things because it still makes it more affordable. Because to me, $20 is nothing. It's $20. To some people, $20 can mean an absolute huge difference in their life, and you never know if that $20 is something that they were gonna need for something else, and they're saving and saving and saving for maybe a family member's birthday or Christmas present or something, and now all of a sudden that $20 difference makes it out of the their budget range. And so it kind of sucks that it's going up. It'd be obviously nicer if it went down, but I am happy to see that Microsoft sat there and said, no, we're not touching our pricing.
No, Nintendo did the same thing. They said no,
Yeah.
no, they're not increasing the Switches. I mean, to be fair, the Switch is still really outdated.
Listen,
And they couldn't go up anyway.
listen.
I love the
Hey,
Switch, honey.
wait.
I love the Switch.
Wait, when we had been going through that pandemic thing and the people were snatching up all the switches and you had errands, rent a thing, and rent a centers taking up all the switches to price gouge those with the $500 financing fee.
We're not even going to talk
Yes.
about
Are
the
you
Joy-Con
serious?
shortage.
Yeah, I paid $800 for my freaking Switch because I
Ugh.
snatched it up and they had a $500 financing fee.
My heart. Oh my god.
Ow, my groin.
That was the Switch that my son broke. Yeah, I remember
Oh
that.
no. Oh no.
And I got another Switch without errands, and I said, "Guess what? This one's mine. You want a Switch? You get a job. You buy it."
Yeah, I'm gonna actually jump on the parenting train on that one in a second, but I have to say something about Sony first. Um, it wouldn't make sense to me if inflation was really that bad in terms of them. But like you said, $20 isn't much one way or the other. But your system is already hard enough to get. Like this stuff, the moment it hits shelves, it's gone. So why make it more difficult for that to happen if you can't even keep up with the demand as it is? That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, and this snippet here that was snipped out by Amy, the global economic environment is a challenge that many of you around the world are no doubt experiencing. We're seeing high global inflation rates as well as adverse currency trends impacting consumers and creating pressure on many industries. Based on these challenging economic conditions, Sony International Enterprises, I guess I forgot what SIE stands for, has made the difficult decision to increase the recommended retail price of the PlayStation 5 in select markets across Europe, Middle East, Africa, Asia Pacific, Latin America, as well as Canada. There will be no price increase in the United States. So, I mean, mind you, it does make it hard to get. And like Kaimi said, $20 is $20, or whatever percentage it is in those local currencies. But that honestly sounds like horseshit. And
Yes.
because it's not the first time anybody has manufactured scarcity. I'm pretty sure you're familiar with amiibos.
Mm-hmm.
If you ever do some digging on amiibos and scarcity and availability and whatnot, Nintendo manufactures scarcity.
Yeah.
Oh,
a lot of places do that
absolutely.
now.
Absolutely.
Hell, Nvidia did that with their RTX series of video cards over the last couple of years, where they restricted access to the hardware before hardware reviewers could actually test the hardware and get the scores done and everything else. And they were just like, yeah, no, we're gonna make sure that you don't have access to it on day one when your review is supposed to be done, but go ahead and give us a positive review on hardware you haven't tested.
I mean, I think amiibos wouldn't be so scarce if Bowser didn't hide his.
Pets his Wario amiibo that he found at a flea market. But just back to what she was talking about, how her son destroyed her Switch. I found out real quick that my son has an anger problem when it comes to games. I don't know where he gets it from. He was playing Fortnite on his Switch. I say his Switch, it's his mom's Switch. He just borrows it. And for the first time, like he was in it. He was top 5. Little bird could play. I will give him credit where credit's due. Little man knows how to shoot a gun. Again, don't know where he gets it from, but the man was in a top 3 situation, and the other squad jumped just him and killed him. I heard him yell. I heard a bop, and then I heard simultaneously. I look over. My man's had ripped the entire Joy-Con off the left side of the Switch, and I could see the wires sticking out.
Oh no.
No.
And he
That
just
hurts.
looked at me with the fear of God. I looked at him and said, 1, that sucks, but 2 is that's Mama Switch.
Oh no.
Wait till she get home, buddy. That's gonna be a whole different. Dude, it was not a good day for him. He had to not only punished from all video games for the rest of the couple of weeks that he had to pay for it back. He had to pay for the whole thing. That's what, $70 for a pair right now.
Oh yeah.
My man did all the chores. He gave up any cash. He earned his own money, so he had to pay that up for the entire month to pay for that thing. And I looked at him and was like, "Hey, you gonna get mad again?" No.
Nintendo's known for making sturdy hardware. Like their own museum, their Game Boy. There's one I think that survived a bombing and is all melty and whatnot. And you could turn
Yeah,
it on
it
and play
was,
Is
tennis.
Seen
it's
that.
up in New York, Nintendo up in New York. I actually have a picture of it.
Yeah, it was used in I think it was in Iraq, and it survived a shelling. And they were like, yes, this is now on display forever. And it's all like scorched. The screen still works, the internals still work, and it's now plugged into like, hardline power to keep it going. But yeah, that's a cool
Yeah, you could
picture of
actually
it.
see it up in New York. I need to go check because I was actually at that location in 2019.
Yeah, they make some. I literally watched my Pokemon Red, the original one, and it came out just fine. Like they make some serious stuff, but they could not hold back the wrath of being taken out in Fortnite. Apparently,
Well, what happened was that little Harrison, Bruce Bannered, and Hulk that thing out.
exactly. Like you're like if you're gonna get mad, screaming to a pillow. Hell, come punch me in the arm. I'm a big old ass punching bag. Come hit me.
Wait, we're talking about how Nintendo makes sturdy stuff. I have a story for you.
Yeah, go.
Oh no.
My brother got so mad one time he actually threw the Nintendo controller at the TV, like this old TV. You know how they used to be like rotund and big and shit.
Big
So he,
chunks.
so he freaking launched his controller at the TV and it went straight through the glass.
Oh, we're talking about the old school square controllers, right?
Yeah, for the N64, yeah.
Oh no, the 3-pronged, big, gigantic.
Yeah,
Yes, the
Nice.
batarang.
the
Yes.
controller versus the TV. The TV lost.
Nice.
no.
Oh no,
That-
Poor TV.
That's paddling.
oh man, that's insane. Yeah, those things. Well, the top of those controllers being super chunky, like that glass is thick. It takes some effort. So he must have
Mhm.
chucked it really hard.
Yep.
So.
Just yeet.
yeah, yeet, indeed. So,
No.
but even still, I mean, Microsoft, Nintendo, they were like, nope, we're going to keep the same price. And Nintendo's notorious for keeping their prices reasonable. I think they finally made the Switch, like, whenever they released it, it was actually a bit more. But they did end up releasing the Lite. They're treating it more like Game Boy prices than anything else, which is
And
fine.
The Switch Lite was a great idea for them. It's tinier, great for kids. Did not know, has ticked me off to this day. Did not know that it was incapable of being streamed from.
Oh, yeah. No, like, there's no audio output on that except for the screen.
I thought there could have been like some kind of capture card that could have plugged in and made it work. I researched that thing left, right, up, down, and sideways to Christmas because I wanted to do some daggum Pokemon streaming.
Well, you
And
wouldn't
I
do it on the
can't.
Lite. You would actually have to go and get yourself a full-blown Switch
I
if you don't have
know.
one.
Don't remind me, Lumi. Well, I have one, but it's hers, and they have saved data. I'm so afraid to save over their stuff because he is proud of his hacked Pokemon he's got in Wonder Trades. I can't take that away from him.
Oh, yeah. Well, it sounds like you need your own Switch. You know what? How about this? Emulate it. There you go.
Oh no.
Why don't you use a firm? Get one through like Amazon. Use a firm and just do low monthly payments. It's more trustworthy than Aaron's, and you don't have a high financing fee.
I never thought about that because I didn't think about that. That's why.
Yeah, they have a partnership with Amazon right now, so yeah, I like it.
Because I literally have a capture card sitting right next to me for when we start doing Fortnite, the three of us with him and mom. I'm like, but I want to do freaking shiny hunts and crap. Like I'm itching to stream. Lumi, help.
Yeah, the
Well,
good thing about a firm too is once you actually get the item and stuff like that, you don't get charged until you don't get charged the first month, but you get charged the following month. You get the item first, and then you get to pay it a month later.
You and I will have to have another conversation after
Sure,
that.
sorry.
you might, if you can get your hands on another Switch, you can totally grab a USB capture card, plug into your machine.
It's sitting right next to me. It's still in the box.
Oh,
I haven't opened it
well,
yet.
you've got that. All you just need is the Switch. That's
Mhm.
it.
Well,
And then you plug it in. It already has hookups to OBS. Record your stuff, go edit it, and then release to the world.
I just have to transfer. It's not even transferring. It's logging into my Nintendo account, and I can download the save files from the cloud. Which that is a great thing Nintendo has done. I'll give them at least a gold star for that. That has helped a lot in terms of backup saves because Joyce thought that she lost her Animal Crossing save data,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought the world was going to end.
Oh, yeah.
But it was saved in the cloud, and she was able to re-download it because little man, poor baby, he deleted Animal Crossing off the Switch so he can
Oh.
play Bendy and the Ink Machine. And he didn't know what he had done until mom got it. And I was like, Harrison, you don't understand. Your life might be ending here in about 24 minutes if this thing ain't here when she installs it back on the Switch. Thankfully for him, it downloaded and she was fine. I was like, hey, look at me right now. Don't do anything without asking me first. That will be a life lesson for you until you get out of my house.
Well, Animal Crossing has saved so many people's sanity for the last 2 years. I mean, I don't think hardly anybody's playing anywhere. There's some hardcore folks out there. I know that my wife went all in, right? Like, there's actually an FPS goal. She's trying to get down to like 5 FPS. Like,
That's awesome.
she has so much stuff on her island. It's tasteful. Like, her island is beautiful. But you have to be able to survive in it.
Well, to be fair, that game we started off. This is just low ball humor I'm going to grab real quick. We started off coming together at the beginning of the pandemic, building islands and having fun. But by the time that we were midway through it, we were all playing Among Us, trying to see who was the most sus and trying to kill each other. So it just depends on what time of frame you're at. But yeah, that game is phenomenal for what it is. And they're still updating it. Like they're still adding stuff to it all the time. And every now and then I'll hear click, 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 and look over at her and she's building stuff. So
Oh yeah.
it's a wonderful game. I ain't mad at it. It kept her busy for a while.
Yeah, my wife found this concept called Treasure Islands, and it's pretty much a hacked island, and they restock all the items on that island. You have villagers that are always in boxes moving out. It is the Walmart of Animal Crossing. It costs nothing to go
That's
in.
awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So, but other than that, let's go ahead and move on to our next subject. Just to recap, why Sony? Why?
Could you stop being dumb for 5 seconds, please?
Pretty much. You're already making your money on the licensing. Take the $20 loss. If you have to raise your price $20 to meet some minimum, you're doing it wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, don't be wrong. Business is about making money, but trust with your users, that's a whole different thing, and sometimes you lose sight of that. Speaking of companies, the next topic we have is the 3-day weekends.
Hell yes. Give me that shit.
Yeah, no doubt. So this actually it was spawned by an article I found. I was like, because we like to end on a good note, and the idea of having a 3-day weekend, and there's actually tests being done with this about employee morale, mental health, like the whole thing, as well as doing some other things. So it had to deal with, what was it? It was Rogue Games plans on moving to a permanent 4-day work week. And
Sign me to hell up.
right. And what's going to happen is that they're going to work 32 hours. It's not 4 10s. It's not, you're still doing 40 hours. Right. You work your 32. Your base wage gets increased.
As it should.
Yeah.
Your annual pay doesn't change, but your hourly rate does, which is great for overtime. That'll really help out overtime for some people, especially if you get paid a lot of overtime.
Yeah. And some companies actually run on overtime mode because it's easy. It's cheaper to pay overtime and burn your people out than it is to hire new people for some reason.
Yeah.
Yep. It's ironic, but this is something that some people out there in the world are starting to adopt. And right now, there's a big thing going through America. It's called quiet quitting. I don't know if y'all have seen that phenomenon on TikTok right now.
Isn't that no call, no show? But do explain.
No, it's people just getting fed up with going above and beyond and getting shit on. They at this point, companies expect you to take on extra workloads, to stay late, come early, and not get financially compensated for it. And the generation now is like, we're not going to do that anymore because I like having a brain that doesn't explode when I get home. So I will come in when I'm expected to come in, and I will leave exactly when I'm expected to leave. If you want me to do anything else, you will pay me more for my time.
Pretty
And
much.
it's starting to spread like wildfire. And looking at this 4-day model, that would fix everything in terms of this whole situation. Because even right now, the medical field, they stressed, at least they attempt to stress, home life and work life separation. Like the moment you leave the hospital, you're home. You don't think about work. You don't talk about work. That's it. That's how it should be 24/7 with any job you do. But these companies expect you to be on call when they have somebody that calls out, or they're shorthanded, or if they don't want, one person sucks at one part of the job but you're good at it, they want to slide more of that to you but not pay you for what your skill set is. And that's more common in the common day workforce in America. It's terrible.
Yeah.
And the fact that the idea, like the concept of just doing a 4-day work week and having 3 days with your family every week, that should be the standard across
Absolutely.
the board. That should be it. I mean, if you want to work more and earn more, you should have the right to, absolutely. But the idea of being able to go home and see your kids 3 days out of the week and not have to worry about work, it should be a standard and not a paradise dream or pipe
Well,
dream.
and if you think about it, people like Crit Chicken work 6 days a week, 7 days a week sometimes. Um,
Can confirm.
yeah, a 2 day weekday or 2 day weekend, quote unquote. And that's assuming you get them back to back. When I worked retail, I could go upwards of 13 days between time off, between
Mm-hmm.
days off.
Yep.
And the big problem with that is when they're spread out, you're not getting the proper time to recuperate. And when you have them back to back, if you think about it, you're doing 1 day of decompression from your work week and then 1 day of prep for your work week. At least with a 3 day weekend, you have that middle day to actually take the time for yourself, actually relax, and unwind properly before you're prepping for your next work week.
Absolutely. I was mentioning this to Lumi before the show started. That's like I'm on my like of the last 3 weeks I've worked at the hospital. This is my second week of 7 days in a row,
Gross.
and it's exhausting. It's absolutely exhausting to be there every day, put out the effort you have to. And I actually had, I will admit, I had my first mental fuck up with some stuff in the lab, and I actually almost got written up for it because I was just so spread thin. And
I have a problem with that statement right there. It's like, hey, look, we know we're overworking you, but check this out. Don't fuck up, or we're going to put it on your record here at work.
well, to be fair, on my boss's point, it was more of a Q&A incident, and it wasn't a straight write up. My boss is fucking amazing when it comes to that kind of shit because he knows we're shorthanded. He knows I'm the only guy in there doing anything, but he's like, okay, but this kind of thing you can't do again, or I can't help you. I was like, I got you. It was a one-time thing. I got you, boss. But anywhere else, like where Joyce works, oh, they would have thrown every single book at her, every single book, no mercy.
Yeah. So the three of us have been giving our opinions on this. Crit, what's your opinion on a 3 day weekend?
Well, eventually, I hope to have a whole week off.
Oh, that sounds even. Let's do that.
Yeah, I would like a full week off.
We should totally start a
At
countdown
least I'll
for that.
get one full week off this year, because for the past 2 months, I only had 1 day off.
Oh no. Oh no. That's
Yeah.
that's gonna be extreme burnout. That's
This
bad, girl.
past Wednesday was my first Wednesday off in 2 months, or just first day that I had off in 2 months, so I'm happy.
And
Yeah.
that shouldn't be the norm, but with just how the climate is, unfortunately, that's getting more and more normal in the States. Like it's terrible. It's terrible.
Well, if I remember correctly, Crit here is in the service industry. So as we get um,
Oh God.
closer to Xmas um, or
Once the skeletons are in the grave.
well, I mean, let's not even count like the holiday, the shopping season. So what was it, Shopapalooza, or the day after Thanksgiving, and then you've got Christmas, and that is just there's just such a high demand, and nobody gets any time off, and then there's temporaries, and
Yeah,
things get screwed up.
Black Friday and peak season Amazon, and also whenever the guys that want to work on their car for Christmas to even get ready to go see their family around Thanksgiving, you have that too, because I work 2 jobs. One is automotive parts and of course at Amazon. So, oh boy.
Yeah, I actually lucked out in that space, kind of, because generally in November everything goes into change freeze, and no changes can be made. Which
Wow, what's that like?
well, oh no, this is for the people contacting us, right? Like that's what happens. So unless it's catastrophic, and that's the downside of it.
Yeah,
You
but
have
even
to.
then, what's that, no change like? Because I'm used to Friday, at 3 o'clock or just before 3 o'clock, someone coming up to me and be like, yeah, we need remote access on like 40, 50 machines by 5 o'clock tonight. And it's like,
that
well,
that
A, I don't
sucks.
deal with that shit anymore,
No.
so sucks to suck. And B, good luck, and it's probably gonna be a no.
Sorry about your damn luck.
Yeah,
Yeah. We need
your
access to stuff. No.
emergency, your shitty planning is not my emergency.
Pretty much.
Not gonna happen, dog. Not my circus. Sorry.
Yeah. Thank God I don't have to do that. I just have to read end user license agreements. Ugh.
You just have to make sure the software is distributed appropriately, right?
Yeah, that doesn't always work. I ran into that this week, and it's kind of really annoying. And I contacted the vendor who makes the software. They're like, "Yeah, what you're trying to do isn't something we support." And I was like, "Oh, okay. When are you going to support it?" They're like, "Yeah, never."
Oh,
Oh, yeah. So for those of you not in the IT world, Microsoft and business is basically pushing everyone to deploy stuff or like install stuff over networks. This one particular vendor doesn't support stuff being installed over a network. And I was like, oh, so you want us to run around to all these machines to install it on? Good to know. Some of these computers are in vehicles. Good luck recalling a fleet of vehicles to install this shit on. Jackasses.
That's not
nah,
gonna
fam.
happen.
Yeah.
That's good. Take care now. Bye bye then.
Yep. Go use Visio. Hey, at least I can deploy that over a network.
Yeah. Well, they make it easy, right?
For the most part. They're not Adobe, so I don't care.
That's a
Oh,
whole different can of worms. Ugh.
I have nothing but hatred for them.
Bum, bum,
They
bum.
sat there and had the gall to tell me their offline installer was truly offline when the first thing it does is start like pinging random Adobe servers looking to send like your hardware specs, your domain, your fully qualified domain name of the computer, like everything. And it's like, really? A, you don't need half that information you're taking, and B, that's not offline if you're saying if it's
a fully packaged product anymore. It's all cloud updated, so it all is internet connected.
I know, I hate it.
It's terrible. I mean, at that point, you're dealing with licenses. I don't know what Adobe that you're actually trying to
All of it.
distribute. You're trying to distribute all of it. Is it all current, or is it all like from 10
Yep.
years ago?
No, all Creative Cloud complete shit. And I hate it all. CS6 was the last version that let you actually have a truly standalone installer that was completely offline. But that was also subsequently the last version that used a product key. Now they use license files, which can only be generated through your account online.
Ugh.
Yeah. Yay, software as a service.
Not a fan.
Don't worry. Cars as a service is already here. Thanks, BMW.
Oh yeah. Like the the microtransaction vehicles. I remember seeing that. You want heated seats? Well,
Yeah. I can't believe that, like, just to sidetrack, because we got 7 minutes left in this podcast.
yeah.
Like, they sit there and say, okay, so this car was originally purchased with heated seats. It has now been sold. We're going to restrict the ability to access the heated seats unless the new buyer pays the $400 or $500 fee for it. And all this because, well, we don't know if the new buyer truly wants that. So we'll go ahead and disable that so they don't have to worry about having them. Excuse the fuck now? Like, if you're buying a used car with a whole bunch of features on it, chances are you want all those features. And if you don't, you'll be happy you have them anyways. So why the fuck would you try and nickel and dime people that much?
Yeah. The only way to make it better is if they had Clippy in it. Hi, it looks like your ass is cold. If you
If you just start the subscription now, we'll roll them buns right up.
Oh no! If Clippy ever shows up on my car, I'm going to just switch to walking everywhere and roll my car off a cliff.
Well, according to Crit Chicken, I may be the new voice of Clippy. So
Yeah.
you'll have me haunting your car. Hello, Ivy. I see you're trying to drive. It's raining. Would you like to know how to turn on the windshield wipers?
For a small fee of $4.95, I can do that for you right now.
You're talking too much. Would you like me to put on the defogger?
Oh no! Oh no!
Well, on that note, that brings us to the end. 3-day weekends, awesome. 4-day work weeks that don't mean working 4/10s, awesome. Even if it was 4/10s, I'd be down because 3
I
days
would
off.
take it. I would take
I
it. I
wouldn't.
would take it. I would. I'm working 7 days in a row. So is she.
I'm done at 3 in the afternoon. I like my afternoons. I don't want to give that up.
7-day work weeks and also sometimes working doubles.
Yeah,
I
no.
wouldn't
Nah,
recommend it,
not
especially when you
nah,
have 1 hour sleep in between shifts.
Sounds
not
like you
gonna happen.
need a union.
Yes. Yes, she does. I will
So,
always advocate for them.
awesome. All right, let's get our round table out of the way. Cajun, what you got?
Let's see. This week I should be pumping out a bunch of content both on TikTok and on YouTube, both Pokemon related and cosplay related and D&D related. I'm just trying to get it all out because I will be out of pocket next weekend. You will not hear my dumbass laughter next weekend. I will be out of town. But other than that, I'm trying to stockpile content so I can just start shooting it out every week, kind of like how Lumi does. Lumi's just god at it. I'm just trying to catch up to him.
Oh, dude. The only thing that's really bad about that is I can't do Instagram and TikTok. I think if I could get the application programmer's interface to it, I might be able to write a Python program that will scan my drive and like auto upload it too. But Facebook and YouTube and what's the other one? Oh my God, Twitter. Like you can schedule everything and it makes it nice and easy.
I know that makes life a lot easier because the other ones, if you're not there sitting there doing it yourself, it ain't gonna happen. And I'm sitting there just doing dumb filter videos on TikTok right now until I get my stuff together. But I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna get there. Just hold on for the ride.
That's right. Great Chicken, what do you have coming up? 7-day work weeks?
Yeah, a lot of more 7-day work weeks for me, and also spamming things on Twitter that I have done 2 years ago when I did have more time to myself to be able to road trip to New York and partake in having a month off from work.
We will get you there, girl. We will get you there.
Absolutely. We'll just charge it to Cajun's account and we'll just push in that direction.
Yeah. I'll pass it along and say, here, just take care of that for me. We're good.
I'm
All
still
right.
drinking.
You know what? You still have that same
I need a
twisted tea?
refill.
Yep.
Nice.
Just
Still the
finished- I
first
just-
one, or is it still like your sixth
I
one?
just finished mine.
Multi-pack.
Beautiful.
Lilo Dallas multi-pack. All right. well,
Oh
Multi-pack.
no.
all right. So what's the barcode scanning?
The barcode is scanning some Plague Ink.
That's so much
and,
fun.
Playing that side by side with Crit Chicken, which is a lot of fun. I've also picked up Sweet Transit, which is like SimCity, but entirely focused around railroads. And cocking that up and making some massive traffic jams is amazing. And I also picked up Plate Up this week, so I can learn how to be a chef and server and a prep cook and a dishwasher. And oh my God, I hate the restaurant industry. And I don't hate it. I love food. But at the same time, I have a lot of respect for the people who do all that work, because fuck that.
Have you ever played Overcooked, I mean?
No.
You should probably look at Overcooked. It is a cooperative restaurant thing, and that might be something fun to do.
And what was that? That was-
Overcooked. It's actually I've seen it.
Overcooked.
It looks pretty interesting.
Okay, let me
Actually.
go look up the
A game
story.
where Amy can play Gordon Ramsay, look at me, put 2 pieces of bread on my face and say, "What are you?" And I'll respond,
Delicious.
"A stupid chicken."
Stupid
no.
sandwich.
What
And-
the
and-
hell is this you posted in
on
Discord?
And on the topic of the games, I had mentioned it to Lumi at the beginning of the show. I downloaded and started playing Rumbleverse, which is Epic's new battle royale game. But instead of guns, you are professional luchadors and wrestlers, and you're DDTing people off of 20-story buildings, and it's fun as hell. I played one little match, and I'm ready to play some more. So there's that.
Florida man arrested for trying to buy child. I'm not going to get to what I'm doing. Jeez. God damn it, Florida man.
The Irish jig was pretty good.
I haven't seen it
So for
because
those of you on the podcast, Crit Chicken posted a news article from Florida. Deputies released video of Pinellas women Irish folk dancing during sobriety test. It's the video's amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, she's going ham.
So did she pass?
Oh,
I
she's
would
so
assume.
tanked. She's so wrecked.
But
But
on that
she's
note, talking about being tanked, Lumi, what are you up to, sir?
What am I up to? Well, I'm just trying to catch up. I took a week off last week due to family stuff. I'm trying to come up. I'm real passionate about the whole NFT thing, and not in a good way. And I say not in a good way in a sense of like I want to set it all on fire because
Yes, you do it.
NFTs are
Yeah.
fucking dumb. And I'm thinking about starting another series that's more educational. What the fuck those things are and what you're actually buying. Stripping out all the, hey, would you like a fancy monkey? Like this is the dumbest fucking thing on the planet. Like crypto, I understand is trying to decentralize money. Cool. But this entire idea of creating scarcity, I think there needs some sort of digestible public information that needs to be distributed going, hey, this is what you're getting into, and delivered in a very simplistic way, which is my whole job. I've always had the stance of if you can't explain it to a 5-year-old, you're doing it wrong.
Yup.
So,
Or
that
explain
being
it to a Cajun. Explain it to a Cajun.
beyond
Hey
that,
guys, what's a Winn-Dixie store?
Winn-Dixie,
Oh.
it's a, I used
It's
to
a
work for
grocery
one.
store that I used to work at for $9 an hour.
It's an old store that is basically a small version of
That dude
Walmart.
who tried to buy the child from a parent from a mother at a Winn-Dixie store.
Yep, it's a
What-
grocery store.
Was this mom
Florida
like,
man.
Was this mom just sitting there like with a bunch of kids like puppies? Like, here, buy one get one free. Come get it.
He yelled at the mom and offered $100K for the child. And
$100K?
this is the second time he's been arrested for something similar. The last time was in 2018, and he got he offered $200,000 for the child. This guy is gross, and he's 84 or 85 years old. Just old yeller, the damn guy.
Oh man.
Yeah, like no.
Ugh.
Anyway,
Florida.
My
other than
God.
that, I'll be working on doing stuff for this particular podcast. I only got halfway through our last podcast before I stopped creating shorts, but I came out with a lot of good stuff. Again, as soon as we're done here, I'm probably going to go and slice it up and have it out by tomorrow as well. So other than that, that's what I'm doing. I'm show planning for a solo show on YouTube and taking care of the
Ooh.
podcast. So, and I'm going to get us a website to make us web discoverable. That's pretty much
Yeah.
I just need to decide if I want to I want to square it, or if I'm like, I'm going to be super nerd and I'm going to build it in Python and use Flask and put it in a container and stick it in Azure so people could just use it. Yes. So
We all know what you're gonna do, Lumi.
You were
I'm
a
gonna
turbo
be-
nerd.
And I'm going to be sitting over here sending IME links to things and having him go, but why?
well, the entire
Yep.
idea is to have the presence, so that way we're more searchable on Google and Bingle and all the other good stuff. And it's a place you don't have to go to Anchor FM to listen to our podcast. You can play it right there at the site. So it takes out a lot of the
Perfect.
complexity. So, and that's
Ma'am, why did you send this to me?
Bah.
it. So
People dressed up as sheep. I don't understand humans.
beep beep. I'm a sheep.
I'm a sheep.
Beep,
Say,
beep,
beep,
I'm a
beep,
sheep.
I'm a sheep.
For the sheer humor.
on that note, so
That's
long,
so
chat.
bad. Okay.
I'm bad.
Bah.
With that, everyone, have a great rest of your weekend. I'll have this up and ready tomorrow by noon. That should be Sunday, August 28th. And be on the lookout for our shorts on YouTube, along with what other shenanigans I may decide to release. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Laters.
Bye, chat.